Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome to the East-West Show. Jack Chow is your host with G&E TV. Every now and then, we look around for great people with a great mind to bring you some information that we believe it is necessary for you to know. Right? That's how we imbue life, how we betterment the community. Right? So, me and my team for the past years, having received lots of compliments, even awards of in different ways for doing so. We feel proud of doing it, and we will be doing it, continue doing. And today is one of the show of this nature. I have my friend Farzam Kamaladini. Kamalabadi. Yes. Little, well,
more Italian.
Yeah, let me. Oh, Italian?
No, it's not. It's Persian, but
no,
it sounds like Italian.
I see. Sounds like Italian, right? We're very tongue twisting. Anyway, and they say the longer the name, the bigger the man.
Oh.
Probably that's the case. Unlike me, Jack Chow. Yeah. Just one syllable.
But his simplicity is also beautiful.
Okay,
open, transparent.
Right. He is the founder and the CEO of Future Trends International Group.
Yes.
And for the past 40 years, his name is seen everywhere in China, in the United States. Oh, by the way, he's a Iranian-born American citizen and who donated his time, almost a great part of his life, into the international business transactions, putting people together, making things better, things like that in that nature. So with that as a lead line, you're welcome, sir, to the show.
Thank you, Jack. Thank you.
I feel totally pleasured to get you here to share your beautiful experiences.
Thank you. Thank you for giving the opportunity for me to meet the people.
All right,
and
the
yourself,
people.
Of course.
Yes, it is the people. We're talking about the people, not the politics. Okay, if politics has to be there, let the politics follow the people.
Yeah,
about
exactly,
that, right?
Exactly.
All right. So, how about little introduction about yourself and your group, please?
Okay. As you said, my name is Farzam Kamalabadi. I'm the founder of the organization called Future Trends. Future Trends is a group of companies. It's over about 30 years of history, and we have developed a network that is global, very literally, practically global, in over 100 countries. Of course, with focus in China and US and Middle East, a triangle, but actually it includes Africa, Latin America, Europe, and other countries.
I see.
In China, as you mentioned, I stayed for 33 years, and of course traveled all over.
And by the way, your Chinese is better than mine.
Oh, no. Thank you.
Yeah. Unfortunately, this is an English show. Otherwise, we can start Chinese right away.
Exactly.
Maybe next time we'll do English.
Sure, we do
Chinese,
a full
right?
Chinese show. Yes,
sure.
Yes. So with focus on China and then connecting China to the rest of the world, I believe in, as you mentioned, that it is not for the people to follow politics. It is for politics to follow the people.
Good.
And
that's
also
a good point. Yeah.
to follow what is good for humanity. And unity, oneness, exchange, and taking away the prejudices, whether it's national, racial, political, or even religious, or economic prejudices. These are all realistic prejudices that needs to go away. And after that, there is only going to be much more commerce, much more transfer of capital, and much more transfer of information and partnerships. Even not one-on-one partnerships, but point to multi-point, and point to multi-point, and multi-point to multi-point.
Oh,
so it will include, basically, for example, I say to US, as you had a vertical economy and the West, the rise of the West, now is the rise of the rest. So rather than competing with them, you join forces with them. Yeah,
oh, that's good. That's a very good perspective, and make lots of super sense.
Exactly.
Right?
Because there is a saying in English, if you can't beat them, join them. But I changed it. I said, before you beat them, join them. Why do you want to even beat them?
Why you want to even beat them?
Yeah,
right?
what's the whole point of trying to beat them?
Very good, very
First,
good.
join
very
them,
good.
you will not even think of beating or not beating.
After all, at the end of the day, it comes to a conclusion that the world is flat.
Exactly. It's what one country.
The world's flat and is flat and shall be flat, and this is where we call home.
Yeah.
Right. Very good. Very good point, though. So, in your doing business for that many years, if I read it right, I read lots of information about yourself.
Okay.
It took me several days.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Almost every paper in China, right, and it's including some major paper in the United States.
Yes.
They had your name on.
Yes, a lot of
your
media.
activities,
A lot of media.
and you were involved in even. Oh, by the way, you yourself visited more cities in China than I do,
Oh, yes.
right, or than I shall do.
Well,
500 cities,
yes, 500 cities.
1,000 counties.
Exactly. Yes.
Right? Those are the numbers that are almost impossible. For what?
Yeah, well, I believe in first-hand discovery. So when I said I'll go to China, I went for a destiny to both learn and then to teach. Like a tree has the roots and has the fruits. You have to learn if you are interested, and then you start teach. What do you learn? I learn about the ancient Chinese civilization. I read about how this civilization thousands of years ago had created the United Nations, and how this country by its nature is for unity and harmony, and how and then how it is 1/5 of the world that is going to be influencer in the world. So I believed when I went there, before I went there, and I wrote about it, that China will move from being introvert and only recipient to become extrovert and to be the contributor, in fact, a leader in the world. I wrote about this 20, 30 years ago in all the media, Chinese media, American media. So I went there to really be of that agent of influence.
I don't perceive too much about China being the leader of something. I just want to join the singing of let China be part of it.
Yeah, part of it. Yeah.
And China being the country where I was born, right? I love America the same or equally with much efforts as I love China. I love everything. So I'd love to see everybody prosper.
Collectively.
Collectively. All right, good. All right. So let's forget the leader part.
Yeah, okay.
Let's just talking about take part in. It's a pot, all right?
Yeah.
You have your part, I have my part. You have your contribution, I have my contribution.
In fact, the word leadership only means contributions.
Exactly.
In the meaning when I use leadership, the leader is the servant.
Yeah,
so I wrote a
exactly.
sentence.
Exactly.
中国 when I wrote 中国为人类服务, China to serve the world of humanity.
All right.
If you are a leader,
That's a
means
good
you are also a
perspective.
contributor.
That's brilliant. Okay, now, there's one thing I would like to go a little deeper than the surface of. I know that instead of in addition to doing business, you went from university to university to give lectures.
Yes.
Right? To share about your findings, your findings, right? And philosophically, right? I believe that you have lots of things of your own achievement. In dealing with people, say United States, Americans, right? Say Chinese, say Middle East people,
Yes, okay.
or South America, South African people. What do you find conceptually, if not philosophically, being the obstacles at point number one?
Yes, remember, I say we coming out of 10,000 years of wars and ending it soon and entering 10,000 years of peace. These 10,000 years of wars, the world was not really interacting, only by neighborhoods. And the neighborhoods had rivalry. Now, that means we were like this. And then now we have a hyper jump. We are looking with the eye of God to the world. When we look at with the eye of heaven to the world, we'll see unity. One small globe. When I was a child, I was playing. The gardener I asked him about the Earth. He said the Earth is like a ball. I said, oh, it is a ball? I'll put it in my pocket. So if it is small, then we are all in it. This discovery for the world of humanity is very new. In the past 200-300 years ago, they didn't know that the world is one.
Yeah, sure.
So the realization that the world is one, and it is less than 100 years ago that the first human being moved on the moon and looked at the Earth. So it takes a few hundred more years until the mind clicks. Since we are one, we need to be cooperative. At this time, there are alliances, at the most multi-alliances. There is nobody who's thinking that the totality of the whole precedes over individual, whether nations or economic interests, even alliances. Even alliances must go down and give way to the higher collective. So I come from a philosophy, as you mentioned, or culture, that is called the Baha'i faith. And the Baha'i faith, what it says is that it is time for collective maturity of humanity. It means not only you are mature, not only I am mature, not only we are, not only individuals. Individuals, institutions, communities.
I like the two words combined.
Yeah. Collective maturity of the whole of humanity.
All right, very good, very good.
And this is a stage that we are almost a threshold.
All right, good.
We have entered this threshold and it will move forward.
That's the first prerequisite of us understanding ourselves.
Exactly,
right?
exactly.
Otherwise, we do not even understand who we are, where we came from.
Yes.
In other words, we came across a big way, and we're facing a long way down the road. All right. As long as we understand who we are, by doing so, we are becoming collectively mature.
Exactly. Brother Jack, you mentioned correctly. We have to look at what I call the arrow of the force of history.
All right.
The arrow takes us from individual to family, from family to clan, tribe, from tribe to village, from village to city, from city to nation. And we think nation is it? No, it's the arrow. And it's going to go for whole planetary
and
unity.
From nation due to the global earth.
Yeah, global community.
You're talking about to the village.
Exactly.
It's getting even smaller, even flatter.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And then in addition to that, we have to think. You have to be mature enough to understand, even we think as globally, we still have to worry about the relationship between us and the other planets in the universe. So that's another step to talk about.
That
right?
after the collective maturity on Earth and institutional unity, something beyond the United Nations, a federation of nations. And when a global, what I call golden age will come, then we will go both for extraplanetary and the inside of the human, the depth
Thank you,
inside the human.
Professor. You do sound like a professor to me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, this is one perspective. Another perspective, from culture to culture, right?
Yeah.
Culture to culture, concept to concept.
Yes.
Right?
Very good.
Your word winning, your word yes might not mean yes. Your word no might not mean no. So for somebody like you yourself who travel amongst all the different cultures, what do you feel? What is you that you achieved yourself that I'm the one, I can master all?
Yes. If you learn a new language and then you learn a new culture and you learn a new mindset, then you are adding to your universe. So often I joke with people who are cross-marriage and their children. And they say, I'm half Chinese, half American. I say, no. You are full Chinese and full American. Or I'm half Italian, half whatever, African. I say, no. You're full African and full Italian.
All right.
We add, and we add to the dimensions. Well, because in the past there wasn't enough mix. Okay, for an Iranian to come to US 35 years ago, learn Chinese in US, go back to China, be of influence, from China travel to Africa, to Middle East, back to the Arab countries, back to Iran, back to US, and go to North Korea, and go to anywhere in the world. So this is a new era.
That's why I'm, in my eye, you're a man who has seen every angle of the ball.
Yeah,
right?
and not only seen, I believe we should not be passive. I always believe we have to see, be observer, be participant, and be the shaper and the shakers of the world. That's called individual responsibility.
All right.
Every human being, in whatever they do, they have to have a sense of mission. So even the word 使命, I took it to China. Nobody was talking about 使命. Now everywhere in China, everybody says, well, 使命. This is my destiny, this is my mission. So the word mission or a destiny in life should be part of every young person, every child, so that they have a vision, they have a plan, they have a nobility, they have a greatness, and of course they have practical things. They have business, they have finance, they have commerce, they have technologies, and through that they are of need, and they are of solution. So you need to become of solution so that people need you.
That being the other guideline, right? Of that people of different races, different culture, we do have to recognize the difference, right?
Yes.
As we quite often say, let we always look for common ground, let the difference remain.
Exactly.
Right? How are we exactly, like in your case, right? Let the difference remain, whereas you are still looking for a common ground and you still find a common ground.
Yes. First of all,
you see that this is kind of a contradiction?
This is called unity in diversity. That means on the one hand is unity and oneness, on the one hand is diversity. There's two extremes. One, they think that unity means we have to cut everything to become standard. No. And some think that because it's diversity, therefore it's very divided. There is a way to make very diverse but harmonically combined. So it's like the flower garden of humanity. In the Baha'i writings, it says, we are the flowers of one garden, the waves of one ocean, the drops of one sea. And so first of all, we are part of the greater whole. Doesn't mean we are the same. So what I call average or mediocre or the same is not. It's the diversity of colors, shapes, hues, cultures. So not only it is good to keep the diversity, but to encourage and to learn from the diversities. So the diversity will add to my vision and my expansion. For example, from China, I learn about Chinese medicine. From China, I learn about the universe concept.
And I know you're good at calligraphy.
Yeah, calligraphy, yes, exactly. So in every country...
Not only calligraphy, also the 篆字.
Oh, yes.
And the 甲骨文.
甲骨文, yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, good. All right, you're. All right, anyway, let's do a little cut of the between the segments. And today with me, my dear friend, I have my friend who, in my eye, is a professor, because he travels all the way, all around the earth. I mean, from country to country, university to university, to share about his philosophy, and of course, he is doing business all the time. He can put deals such as 100 million together, or he can make two rivals shake hands together. So those are the miracles.
Exactly.
Very good. All right, let's take a very short moment now. When we come back, I'll still find more, because it's once in a blue moon I get this chance to ask this many questions.
Thank you.
Stay with us. Hello, dear friends, my lovely audience, ladies and gentlemen, my dear fellow Americans, welcome back to the show. Jack Chow, having a good time with my friend Farzam Kamalabadi.
Yes.
He is my new friend, however, I like his concept already.
Thank you.
He is the one for the past 30 to 40 years active in the international transactions, business relations, people-to-people relations, government-to-government relations, and that's why his group is called Future Trend International.
Yes.
Right. We, in terms of us talking about future, we did see how future will look, shall look like. However, we got to understand where we came from, who we are. By that, we understand our problems ahead, right?
Yeah.
Speaking of problems ahead, I do realize that culture are being the thing two people talk about all the time, but not always everybody understands the difference, right? And there are differences
Yes.
that you should say, hey, okay, let difference remain,
Yes.
right? For example, if I say I have 6 brothers, you understand that's 6 brothers, right?
Yes.
If I say to American friend who are born here, when knowing nothing about
Don't know
English,
this.
about Chinese, they say, why you say 6 friends, give me 2 fingers?
Exactly.
Exactly, right?
Yeah, that's
so, so without understanding the difference, that means 6 in Chinese.
Yes, right,
Right?
exactly.
The English-speaking people will have difficult time.
You have to say this is our sign language. Then they say, oh, you have a sign language.
This is our sign language, right? Okay, now, these things, whether you do understand it or you not understand it, or you understand it tomorrow or next year, will not hurt a lot.
Exactly.
Right? There are things, for example, I'll give you an example. The whole world is using the international terms, meters, centimeters, right?
Yes.
Kilos,
That's right.
kilograms,
Yes.
right? Milligram,
Yeah.
right? And
Standardization of them.
standardized, right? Standards, the measurement, okay? And we still use 1/16 of an inch,
Yeah.
right? And in NASA, they never use 1/16 of an inch because 1/16 inch would never measure those
Precision, no precision.
slightest precision.
Exactly.
All right. So why are we Americans still being that conservative?
Yeah.
These are the areas I think.
Yes.
Understanding the difference is one thing. To change it,
Yeah.
to bend over, to
yeah.
correct it is the other. Do you, in your practice, find this necessary?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, what you're referring to is a very important topic. That is, on a certain issues, we need to come with global standardizations, including a universal, uniform form of exchanges, even in the currency.
Even
We
currencies,
should be
yeah.
away from US dollar, euro, Chinese yuan. The future of the world, 100% is going to be one unified currency. It is only we are lagging behind. We are slow. Our mind is slow. Our structure is slow. There are many elements that the reality of the world is already one, but our practice is far behind. We are slow to catch up. Okay, but we will catch up. Measurements is one. Currency is one. Environment, standard. Universal thinking in world undertakings. What is our common shared challenges and destiny? And clean air, clean water is common for the whole of the world. It influences each other. So the environment issue is universal topic. The energy, for example, oil, gas, coal, and future energy, it's for every country. Mining resources, they should become universal topics away from individual nations who owns them or who is lacking them. And we need to find a standard method of acquiring, distributing in a prorated, not exactly equal, but in a smooth way. So currency is the most important part because it creates the economic unity. However, we are behind. We are behind not only on the practical level, but on emotional level. So the problem of the world is that the reality of the physical world is already gone to the future age. But the reality of our mind and emotions and our viewpoints are lagging behind.
That's why in the previous segment you use the word maturity.
Exactly, collective maturity.
We're not mature enough,
Exactly.
let alone being collectively mature.
Exactly,
All right?
exactly.
Okay, very good. Now, speaking of that, though, I really wish that I met with you earlier than
Thank you.
now. All right. Okay, very good. Let's find more, please. Okay. Now, with all said so far, how do you define nationalism and the internationalism?
Yes. Okay. First of all, we are talking about what I call circles of loyalty.
Okay.
The human concept knows loyalty. First, I'm loyal to myself. I'm loyal to others. How much? What's the balance?
Yeah.
Okay? So we have a saying, 大众无私. Then we have 大私无终, 无功, 大功无私. And then I said, 大私有功, 大功有私. So you have to have all. Individual best interests and public best interests. So the first thing is what I call best interests, which means the word loyalty. You are loyal to yourself as individual, you are loyal to your family, you are loyal to your clan, you are loyal to your city, you are loyal to your race. If I am black, I'm very loyal to my black race versus the white race or the yellow race. And if I'm Asian, I'm more close to the Asians. We have affinities, and we have years of feeling familiarity with the circles to which we are born. These are called like memories, emotions, loyalties. As we have more maturity and more exposure, we widen the loyalty. How about if we have first loyalty to the whole planetary unity, to the whole human race? I have my priority loyalty of being a world citizen, then being Iranian or Persian, then being in love with China, then being in love with America. So it's called wider and higher loyalties.
In other words, are we safe to say internationalism is going to replace nationalism?
Absolutely, naturally.
Naturally, it has.
Now it has been surpassing it by what I call challenges or crisis. So when we are in crisis, it increases our awareness. So we had World War I, we created League of Nations. We had World War II, we created United Nations. Is United Nations fully powerful? No. So we may need a third world disaster, unfortunately, to create a federation of nations.
And looking around, though, we can't even afford a third war.
We cannot afford, but we are faced with it.
Yeah,
it's very real.
Because with all the conflicts there, though, once we do fight, we would put an end to human race.
The danger is there.
That will be suicidal. That we call it the common risk.
The common threat of extinction.
Common challenge, common crisis. And then you mentioned about environmental crisis, right?
Yes.
And it was 2 days ago, I had a professor from NASA here talking about the global warming.
Yes.
And giving the cases that in the North Pole and South Pole, the ice are melting in a speed 5 times faster than normal.
Yeah.
Right. Those are the things we humanly face.
Yes.
Right. All together.
Of all the challenges, we have divided into 2 categories. I call what you mentioned is terminal challenges. Terminal challenges are the challenges that have threat of total extinction, self-annihilation. So self-annihilation is a danger to all. Okay? There are 2 threats of extinction. One is war, because if we go to a new world war with all the tools of the super atomic bombs and other plasma technologies, it is not going to be a Hiroshima. It's going to be thousands of times more.
Yes.
So that is a real threat that if it starts, if not the entire human race, at least a majority will perish.
Yeah.
And the danger is real.
That's why Albert Einstein says if you fight it in World War IV, well,
there isn't.
You will come back to Stone Age.
Yeah, exactly.
Use a stone and spirit, right?
So that's one. And then the environment, where it is the total global, is like the body of the humanity is sick, and it is, it's coughing, and then it is spitting blood. So that's the whole body of humanity. The earth has its life. If we put too much burden on it, it must burst, it must release. And that is catastrophic for the whole world.
Yes. That's very good, because you're a visionary. And you look at a visionary eye at the problem, right? The bigger problem being the part that lots of people are still buried in their dream of saying, hey, I'm the bigger one.
That's the point.
And you are not the bigger one.
It's called maximization of interest. We are propelled, whether as individual, family, tribe, nation, as maximization of interest. If my individual, my group, my community is maximized, it balances. This is the order of capitalism. The Adam Smith, the invisible hand, the maximization of self-interest. But we don't know there are two areas where the maximization of self-interest means the reduction of self-interest, means the loss of self-interest.
You're right.
If there is a universal danger, we all lose. Even those who try to be on the top will be
That's why we're talking about the proliferation of nuclear weapons.
But the problem is that humanity doesn't feel this threat. They know it theoretically. They don't see it really. So they put it in the back burner. We say, oh, okay, it's some other person's problem. It's the future problem.
Okay, now we're talking about looking for common ground, looking for common concerns, right?
Yeah.
Common ground, common concern being, another one being that no nation on this global earth is not crying for their economical crisis. Could that be the common challenge or common crisis?
Yeah, if the problem becomes huge, that spills to everywhere, even the rich nations are poor, or even the poor nations that are rich are divided. So if the problem becomes universal, which is becoming now, then it is a pressure on the mind of the people to change the behavior. But even to change the behavior, we have to change not only opinions, not only experience, but also institutions. So the new world order is not political, is in every single entity, institution, methodology, management, supervision, taxations, all there needs to be a major change.
More sober-minded, more mature. All right. My dear friend, I feel that I'm going back to school again with my friend Farzam. I'm really learning a lot. I feel something being refreshed in my brain. Let's take a very short moment out. When we come back, we find a problem in human minds. The human minds are I would say the source of all the devils. Let's see how we want to be mature, or even more mature, or even collectively mature. Say with us, please.
Thank you.
Hello, dear friends, lovely audiences, ladies and gentlemen, my dear fellow Americans, welcome back to the show. Jack Chow finally feel excited for having finally found a soulmate, with my friend. We had only 2 segments of a discussion, and yet we find that we like each other's mindset already.
Yes.
Right. Speaking of mindset, though, of course, looking at the fact that you are in the investment field for so many years now, I believe you on the internet information, you have many successful stories to tell. And I did check of the successful stories, and they are so convincing.
Thank you.
Right? So impressive.
Thank you.
And I believe in your practice, you see failures. You see bad examples.
Yes.
Right? And bad example caused by all kinds of factors, including the rapaciousness of people. How do you, as an investor or man involved in investing business for that many years, how do you value the rapaciousness in people's failure?
Okay. I think as a more seasoned and experienced business person you become, you develop the eye of the wisdom to see the end in the beginning. We don't walk into an alley and go and spend years and energy and come to a dead end and then come out and then go to a new one and try and then realize it's too late. It's again dead end and come back. You go twice waste of time for years. The successful person is that in advance they see whether it's a dead end or it is success. And they don't go a road. They avoid pitfalls and wrong judgment. So to improve the eye of judgment is important. 2, to realize in the world there are those who already did a lot of business And there are the others who legitimately they haven't done, they want to. So when you know who you are dealing, if they are trying and they haven't done, the problem is when they haven't done, people exaggerate. In order to give themselves credit, they lie. Sometimes not lie, they just pull the truth a little bit. So that means if they say something, some person, you have to reduce it by 10% error or 20%. For some people, you have to say by 90% error. What they say is not true. So you need to judge who has done.
Immune yourself.
Prepare and judgment. That means you have to do, first of all, even yourself, by your experience and feeling, you need to rate them, which position they are. If they are reliable, they say what they do what they say, they have done things, there are cases. So that is called a judgment. And many of the businessmen who go across the countries, they don't have the judgment. They just go by guesswork. And that's when you fall into a trap.
You know what? They don't do the homework.
They don't do homework.
They don't
do the
homework,
due diligence.
right? You mentioned about that's a very, very good way to make your own judgment, not a judgment based upon what they say, they promise, but you automatically take 20% deduction or even 90% deduction, right?
By rating who that person is.
By rating
you say,
who
this
that
person, whatever they say, there is zero deduction. Because this is exactly precise.
Exactly.
You know who is precise. If they're precise, they're precise.
You're exactly hitting the nail on the head. So how much do you know about the P2P? What recently happening in China, the P2P?
Yeah, you tell me. Yeah, I want to know which angle you have in mind.
I'm talking about lots of people got caught in the investment of P2P, which is the internet investment stuff, right? Which ends up in the Ponzi kind of a scam, right? Okay. Now, I'm not talking about the failure of the supervision. Or a governmental supervision.
Now I'll answer now.
I am just talking about at the people level, though. I am talking about the word exactly I started using, the rapaciousness. Right. How do you analyze where to look for the problem?
My understandings are that there are, first of all, what I call the analogy of air raid versus infantry. I use online versus real. Virtual reality versus real reality. The whole world is moving by percentage more and more into virtual reality. We have a ratio. There was a ratio that there was only 100% reality and 0% virtual reality. As the world, new technologies comes, we are moving 10%, 15, 20, 50. Now we are maybe 60% into virtual reality. There will be a day that we will be 95% into the virtual reality. We cannot avoid it. It's part of reality. But while we are into this, we need to be able to have a balance. For example, the real hands-on person-to-person business negotiation versus long-distance business negotiation. The real classical business or online shopping business. And as we move to the online and there is faster money, then there are people who are two types. Those who on purpose they want to cheat you and take advantage, and there are those who are not on purpose want to teach you. They are benign, but they don't know how to organize and they fail, and you join them with their failure. And these three are combined. The idea of virtual and reality, and the idea of those who will try to cheat you or even not try to cheat you, but they lead you to the wrong direction.
By accident, you are trapped.
By accident, you are trapped.
Right.
The reason is what I call a gung-ho desire for fast rich. Remember, there is no easy way out. Easy come, easy gone. You must learn.
That's why I wanted to emphasize on the fact that people are just being too rapacious. They're too greedy.
Really.
right? And in complaining, they say, hey, they promised the 16%, 26% of return. And in the argument, people say, hey, why you believe?
Why did you want?
Why did you want 20%?
That's right.
Why did you want 16% or even 26%?
Yeah, if the percentage itself is not, but the methodologies. For example, people go like herd. There is no blockchain and then blockchain, and whoever doesn't know anything about technology or the blockchain in their mouth is talking about blockchain. And then they all start things, and then people follow them. Nobody, for example, when there was the time that in China there was no fund, and every corporation thinks I'm creating a fund. They think they don't understand the idea of a third-party capital management. They think fund is the financial department of my company. So there are many things that people don't know it deeply. They are still following the crowds. They think a lot of big money is in it.
Yeah, they are incapable of doing what you do. Say, I give 10% of deduction of what they're being promised, right?
Learning precision.
I do 20%.
Learning precision, learning to judge in advance, learning to discover what is a fashion versus a lasting. There are some trends that are not visible, are a little bit slower, but long-lasting. That's why.
I do understand. I do convince myself that rapaciousness was the initial motivation that pushed the world forward, right?
Yeah.
If Newton hasn't been rapacious, he will not discover that much.
Yeah.
So much happened to Albert Einstein themselves, right?
Yeah.
However, rapaciousness has to have a limit, right? In your practice, though, how do you convince people to control their greediness, their rapaciousness?
I think greed can, like anything else, just like a knife, can be used for the good or for the bad. If you have a high desire of capacity and capacity to service, but you do it not avariciously, not for your own pleasure, you really do it selflessly of what the persons or the communities really need. So it is a matter of your agenda versus the real need agenda. I often try to look into my motive. Who am I serving? Me? Or the greater good? Or this institution? Even my competitors and my partners, I want to serve them, really. When you do it repeatedly, people sense it. We had just a case of a Chinese company visit in Los Angeles 2 days ago. And one of the young general managers was very tough on us and was asking a lot of doubtful questions. And one of my partners got a bit angry with him. And I didn't, because he's young, he's doing his best interest for his company, even though he is questioning us whether we are real or not. But because I didn't took this judgment, then he got happy, and his boss got happy, because I put myself in his shoes and in your shoes. He's watching for your interests. He's scrutinizing me. It's not comfortable, but I am real. I'll pass through the scrutiny. When we give them the benefit of the doubt, when we understand them, so it's very simple. Put yourself in their position, and whatever they do is for their own best interest. This guy is actually very faithful, very loyal to his company, and I like that quality. So that's why I said, bravo, you did a good job. And then he surprised. So he became positive to me. His bosses become positive to me. Because of that, I didn't do it as a show. I did it simply and genuinely. They said, oh, now we want to work with you.
You convince people to manage themselves.
And this person said, since you have a big heart and you look at other people's interests, we believe you will be our good partner because you are faithful. You're trustworthy.
See?
Trustworthiness is more important than technical ability. The trust. We earn the trust.
All right. My dear friends, let's take a short moment now. We come back to continue, please. Hello, dear friends, my lovely audiences. Welcome back to the show. Jack Chow on the East West Show with G&E TV. Today with my friend Farzam Kamalabadi, we are touching base with you something very important, because when you are so busy getting involved into your day-to-day business, you might get yourself lost. Mm-hmm. You might get lost of knowing nothing about who you are, right? And then you will be incapable of handling your problems, your day-to-day problems, right? With my friend Farzam, we're touching base with by using his experiences to see
Leverage.
how we can leverage ourselves, how we can benefit from it. Now that his business for the past 30, 40 years now, going back and forth between US and China, of course, including elsewhere, you understand China and the United States, I would say, the best. Right? With the war going on, with the trade war going on, how do you expect, right, as the end of the war, and during the war, while waiting, what do you recommend people to do?
Yes. As I said in the first session, I talked about point-to-point and point-to-multipoint. And so what it means is that, remember, the world is not only America and China. The world has 200 countries, 7 billion people. So it is best for each country to diversify, and in fact for each corporation to become truly global. I believe if you have a product, a technology, a service, a know-how that you already commercialized in one market, you need to start immediately stamp copy it in many markets. So that means whatever advantage you prove that you have already, but it is in a limited environment, why not fast cookie cutter, make cut and paste in many, many markets? That means you need to have a methodology, a strategy, and some tools, some commercial tools, to go to not only China from US, but to India, Pakistan, Philippines, not only Southeast Asia, you go to Middle East, to Arab countries, you go to the GCC, not only Arab countries, to the MENA region, North Africa, South Africa, not only that, Europe, and then Latin. The whole world is very small. So I have a concept that is called US corporations going global and doing it systematically, not by random, not by partial, superficial, fragmented, slow, linear. You must go at the same time in many markets and grow them deeply and grow them systematically and faster. This is the classic fundamental road to what I call global market share coverage, distribution and sales system. So I developed all of these networks all over the world for that purpose.
Very
so
good,
I
very
propose
good.
globalization or international market development, not one by one country. Maybe year 1, 8 countries, year 2, 15 countries, year 3, 30 countries. So you can exponentially grow. It is doable not with a large budget. It needs some budget, some teams, it's called strategy formulation and strategy implementation, and international team, especially for mid-cap corporations and smaller corporations. So to go universal. The same thing with China. Why do you have to only have business with US? Yes, US is important, you should, but also from China. That's why I said the new Silk Road. You go to Middle East. I opened that corridor for China. I said you go, if the East, if Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Philippines, and then the West is difficult for you, now go to the West. Go to Central Asia, go to the Middle East. In 1990s, I myself went from China to the Arab states, brought 600 families and positioned them in 20 provinces of China. And I opened the first financial corridor. I brought the sovereign wealth funds from the Arab states. I'm the one who brought Kuwait Investment Authority, Qatar Investment Authority, Noor Al Mal Investments, all investing into China for the first time in the world history. First was the ICBC Bank, Industrial Commercial Bank of China, then Agricultural Bank, CITIC. So it became a club investment. So you open new corridors. And so again, Africa is the new continent. So I'm also giving the message, as this audience is our US corporations. You may be a small, you may be a startup, you may be in the what I call incubation phase, acceleration phase. From the beginning, you must think globally. From the beginning, you must position your product for trial.
From day one.
From day one. You may implement it a bit later, but from day one, you must have your team, your budget, your everything positioned. When you have the R&D and you raise money for that, you must think of, oh, my global marketing. So that you will cover more markets in a shorter time. This is a fast track. Then on top of that, there are 5 things. Global sales and distribution network system, global branding, government support, capital raising, financial play. And all of these needs to be in the planning from the beginning. And we help the companies, not like an outside advisor consultants take money and do little thing.
That's very good advice to every country.
Every country, every
In other words, instead of taking it as a fact, you really want to diversify not only your resources, but your downstream market.
Exactly.
Right?
I even went to Finland, to Jyväskylä. The mayor and the prime minister invited me for their innovation and also for their acceleration. I gave them a whole program. You are a good country, okay, in Nordic countries, and you have many startups, but they exit too early. Why? Because they didn't go to the global market. It's like you are a good gardener, but you do it in the flower pot and another flower pot. You don't go to the backyard. You don't go to the forest. When you develop a shrub, a nursery, this is for mass production. So when you create a market and you have a project that is successful in Nevada or in California, so you must go globally. I even wrote a program for the governor of California. You must do global branding and export of many, many corporations to get a market share.
You were there, I'm sorry, and I'm thinking so fast now.
Yeah, sure.
You were there 2 weeks ago at the seminar formed by Congresswoman Napolitano.
Yes,
right?
yes.
And only because that was the program was too tight.
Yeah, in the city of Duarte.
Yeah. Into the city of Duarte, you did not get a chance to speak, right?
Yes.
Now that you have the chance to speak right here, though, while waiting or while expecting things to happen, though, what do you, as with the experiences you have, with the philosophies you have, with the visions that you have, recommend the businessman in the United States and their counterparts in China do at the moment instead of waiting?
Yes. The first thing is I mentioned is to consider placing your corporations deeply, systematically in many countries. And don't be afraid that you can do it. It doesn't take so much budget. If you open one country, it's $500,000. And you open 10 countries, it's $5 million. If you open 100 countries, it's wow, $50 million. No, it's not. After 3 or 4, the cost comes down. So maybe with only $1.5 million, you can open 20 countries because there is economic of scales. And maybe it's not the budget, it's the team that is your barrier. There are ways to have alliances. There are many, many companies in other countries, they want to have alliances. So the idea is a smart planning. So first, you must try to, as I say, place yourself in many markets, to do it deeply, to do it directly and through agents. At the same time as you are selling more, then you become capital running after you. If you are not very successful, okay, the money wants to come to your company. If your company is stagnant, the money doesn't like it. If the company is falling down, worse, they're losing money. If the company is rising a little bit, nobody likes it. You must be this way, rising. Then the money runs after you. The money is like a water irrigation tank. I create funds, I create finance for city government. After that finance, it must go and irrigate some industries. It must find the most capable corporations who are growing. So I call fundamental sales and distribution and selling growth, plus branding, plus government support, invites the money. and improves your leading edge technology. Becomes a very positive cycle.
In other words, you're saying that they don't want to stop right now, and you want them to start establishing elsewhere.
I explain this way because it is the US spirit that taught me. Okay? We have the Star Trek, to boldly go where no one has gone before, the pioneering spirit. I believe the US pioneering spirit is somehow stopped or slowed. Everyone thinks domestic. Few are Fortune 500 companies, they are global. But most of the companies, they think, oh, it's far, it's difficult, I don't have the resources, I don't have this. So the point is, if you are going to be successful at your home, think your home is the whole of planet. Don't have the fear of proximity or distance as a fear. And it is matter of mental capability that becomes a physical capability. You organize teams and finance, and that's it. So we can help, of course, but of course companies can do on their own also. Let your vision be world embracing, we call it. Actually, this is a sentence from the Baha'i writings. Let your vision be world embracing rather than confined to your own selves. So whether you're introvert and only doing one thing, is think of it like somebody on the mountaintop, look at everywhere and do your own things. So
that's excellent.
Yeah, you have to do focus and diversification. There is a balance between focus and diversification.
That's excellent. No wonder on this thing I read about you, you are being recognized by several high-level officials at the government, including even United Arab countries.
Yes, yes.
Right, and the African countries, right.
Yes.
And in China, of course, several provinces, and more than 500 cities.
Yes,
right?
yes, yes.
So
yeah, we did contribute to these countries. I made a lot of national.
When I saw this, I was almost surprised. There are about 100 incidents here that you proved that your methodology is right.
Yeah.
Right.
In real action.
Sure. I really wish that there are 60 or more than 60 minutes in an hour.
Thank you.
All right, we're a little over time, but today I really had some good time. My dear friends, thank you very much for watching, and to my guests, thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Jack.